ho neighborinos, this is Keith Bird once again with yet another fun-filled edition to Cyber Civilians 101. Today we're going to talk about the dark web, woo! And what that means to you and if you need to be concerned about it. First, let's get our definitions right. I know it has a bad reputation at times, but Wikipedia actually has a decent article about this subject. If you go to that page, you'll see that the term dark web actually refers to a few different things. And the thing I really think you need to know and care about is more precisely called the dark net. According to Wikipedia, the dark net is where the illegal sales are going on. This is where you can buy stuff like child porn and illegal copies of software and usernames and passwords which have been stolen in data breaches. However, because that's the way most people use the term, I'll use dark web to refer to that part of the internet where you can buy stuff that's illegal. Now you might be thinking, but I'm not a techie. That's why I'm watching this video. I don't care about the dark web or the dark net or the dark whatever else. I have no intention of going there, so why should I care? Well, as the old saying goes, you might not care about the dark web, but the dark web cares about you. Let me explain. Let's say you've been listening to your ruggedly handsome cybersecurity pal and have gotten and use a password manager. You follow all the good password practices which we've been talking about. You then take it a step further and set up 2FA on all your sensitive accounts using an authenticator app wherever you can, just like we talked about. You've done all the right things. Do you remember what they told you in driver's ed back in high school? You don't have to worry just about you being a safe driver. You have to watch out for all the other drivers out there acting like a fool. You have to assume that the other drivers out there are not being conscientious drivers like you are, right? Well, it's the same thing here. You might be cyber smart, but what about all those companies out there who aren't? Pretty much every time you hear about a data breach out there, that means that somebody wasn't being secure with your data. So what happens to that data which gets stolen? Well, it gets bought and sold, you guessed it, on the dark web. So what can you do? Number one, just like I've said, follow good password practices. Number two, do 2FA on any sensitive account that you can, just like we've talked about before. And number three, get a good dark web monitor. I actually have two. Not because I went out and bought them, but because they came with products I already use. Let me demonstrate. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we actually have two services which are monitoring the dark web for us. The first of these is H&R Block. We do our taxes through them, love their service. We purchased tax insurance through them, and that includes the Dark Web Internet Watch service. We give them our email address, our social security number, credit card / debit card numbers, our bank account info, and if any of this information shows up on the dark web, they'll let us know. For example, if there's a password out there for sale which is associated with my email address, they'll let me know. It's great service. The other one is through McAfee. That's just our AV service that we purchase that monitors our computers for malware. And our service with them, which isn't that expensive, includes identity theft protection. Kind of the same thing as H&R Block. Let me show you what it looks like when they find something, by the way. Here is their information and some stuff that they notified me about that I took a look at. And for example, here's a great one here. Patreon.com. Apparently there was some type of breach with them and that was associated with my email address, and they let me know and they told me immediately change your password for that site. So I did. Now, this is a great advertisement for two things, by the way. It's a great advertisement for good password practices because I have a unique password for patreon.com. And because of that, when this happened, I just had to go to patreon.com and change my password there. I didn't have to scramble and change my password on 53 other sites. So that's a good advertisement, good reminder for good password practices. The other thing that this is a great advertisement for is 2FA. Patreon.com has 2FA with an authenticator app option. So I set that up. And quite frankly, I went ahead and changed my password anyway, just to be extra safe. But really, they could get my password. They can't do much with it since I have set up 2FA for my Patreon account. So that's an advertisement as well for setting up 2FA on any sensitive website account that you have. So those are my steps. Notice that none of this really costs you a lot of money. LastPass has a free version. Setting up 2FA doesn't cost you anything. And I'm getting dark web monitoring as part of my service, which I'm already paying for. Not paying anything extra. As I've said before, if you're a civilian, you probably don't have to pay much money to be more secure. But you will have to pay a little bit of time and a little bit of effort and a little bit of research. But I think it's worth it, don't you? Anyway, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for watching, and God bless.